Top of my head, I still have the burn mark. Um, but it's crazy. Um, but y'all, look now, as funny as some of these Reddit stories are for the 4th of July, we really do need to take a deep dive into the history of the 4th of July. I love the 4th of July. I love everything behind it. And I feel like in today's world that we're forgetting what it means to be free. I don't talk politics on this podcast. And it's because look, I respect your political beliefs, whatever it is. I'm not going to go around argue with you because that's what you want me to do. I will. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Southern Grace and Sass. I know. Before you start to lecture me, it's been forever. How am I supposed to build a podcast when I can't even get episodes out? Well, y'all, I'll be honest with you. Life has been chaotic here lately. I've been busy and everything else, so please forgive me. My name is Breezy. I will be your host today on Southern Grace and Sass. As always, on this podcast. We combine my two favorite things: God and life. With that being said, this is going to be a very special 4th of July episode because here's the thing: we're nearing July, and it is and July is my birth month. And I want to say, I figured why not get into it as we talk about some crazy 4th of July stuff. As you always, we had to go to Reddit to find some of the craziest 4th of July stuff that has happened. Um, and then I want to give you a brief history on it because we gotta understand why we celebrate the 4th of July because Memorial Day, Labor Day, and the 4th of July, yes, they're all barbecue holidays, but we have to understand we celebrate those holidays for a reason. It's not just for the aesthetic, it's not just for the barbecue or the fashion. Although I have been known to rock the red, white, and blue overalls in every 4th of July attire known to man. Um, but with that being said, let's start this episode off on a light note with some craziest 4th of July stories. Um, and of course, I want to take credit for all these amazing stories. So the first one was a fireworks set off and caused a fire. I want to know the history behind that. Like, were you drunk? Like, or what happened for that firework to set off for you to start a fire? Um, Another one was went skinny dipping at a friend's pool party. Another one was burn some hot dogs. And look, here's the thing: if you're gonna grill hot dogs at a certain point, they're just burnt. There's no saving them. There's no way of helping hot dogs taste better. Honestly, guys. Um, Another story is we were setting off fireworks at my grandma, and grandpa's, and my grandpa brought out firecrackers from the 40s, and they didn't work. And one person said, my girlfriend has some firecrackers from the 70s that do still work. When they do go off, it sounds like small bombs. I'm so glad my friend and coworker Avery, the boy still has little poppers from last 4th of July that he can't get rid of, that he keeps using at work. You know how many times I want to strangle him with that? I may look sweet and adorable, but I want to strangle him so every time he sets one of those off. Um, Another one is slipped and fell into a barbed wire fence and cut my shoulder open. Okay, look, here's the thing. If you have ever gotten caught in a barbed wire fence, you know how those things are. So when we were younger, my cousins and I like they could go down the hill. Instead of walking up the hill as the logical thing would have been, we would cut underneath the barbed wire. We got caught a couple of times, but it was worth it. We were kids. Um, Another one that was is I was born on the 4th of July, and my parents told me every year that all the country was celebrating my birthday by setting off fireworks. Um, I felt so special when I started kindergarten, but I was embarrassed when the other kids informed me gleefully that I was a dummy and my parents big fat liars. The kid, uh, the parents didn't want to hurt the kids' feelings. I gotta respect that. Um, but eventually you do get older. You do become an adult, and you do get logical, right? I would assume so. Um, Another one is 1 year when I was 7 and my family was lighting fireworks. One of the larger ones, an ember from it, got to the top of my head. And I still had the burn mark. Um, but it's crazy. Um, but y'all, now as funny as some of these Reddit stories are for the 4th of July, we really do need to take a deep dive into the history of the 4th of July. I love the 4th of July. I love everything behind it. And I feel like in today's world that we're forgetting what it means to be free. I don't talk politics on this podcast. And it's because look, I respect your political beliefs, whatever it is. I'm not going to go around argue with you because that's what you want me to do. I will respectfully have a communication conversation with you about 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 it, but you're not going to make me switch my political beliefs. With that being said, let's dive into a history of the 4th of July. Well, we know that the 4th of July is known as Independence Day, and it commemorates the adoption of the Declaration of Independence by a Continental Congress in 1776. And this would formally declare the 13 American colonies independent from Great Britain. Quick, if you can name all the original 13 colonies, you are a very smart cookie. Um, but the vote for independence occurred on July 2nd. The 4th became the celebrated date due to the Declaration's adoption and formal wording. And here are some things. So, what is the Declaration of Independence? Well, this is a document that was written by Thomas Jefferson and it articulated the reasons for the colonies and the separation of British rule, including ideals of liberty, equality, and self-governance. Also, the early celebration was the first anniversary of the Declaration, was in 1777, and with 13 gun salutes, parades, and fireworks. And over time, these celebrations grew to include picnics, contests, games, military displays. In the 19th century, in the United States, and the holiday became a major midsummer celebration with a focus on patriotism and national identity. Also, when celebrating when the celebrations began, it wasn't until 1870 that the 4th of July became a federal holiday, and it became a paid holiday by federal employees in 1941. The more you know. Um, and there's many diverse perspectives on it. The 4th of July has always been a day for diverse groups of people for their perspectives, including abolitionists and women's rights advocates, something highlighting the sometimes highlighting the gap between the ideals and liberty of the realities of the American society. And also, Independence Day is marked by parades, barbecues, and other festive activities, continuing to be a symbol of the United States. Um, Guys, we do need to understand we celebrate the 4th of July for a reason. We don't just celebrate it for the barbecue, even though we do enjoy a good day off, but and some good food and everything. But the 4th of July is important. We need to know why we're celebrating it, what it means, and everything else. Um, but now I always have loved the 4th of July. I love the fireworks, and everything. And like I said, I do love dressing up for the 4th of July. One thing about me is that I'm a very holiday oriented person. Even for Valentine's Day, even though I hate Valentine's Day with a passion, I really do hate that holiday with a passion. There's only one I like, and that is the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Judge all you want. But here on Southern Grace and Sass, this is a safe space. Plus, you can't comment because people don't know how to comment things nicely. And that's that's how privilege is and why you people can't have nice things. Because we don't know because we want to be rude, we want to hurt people's feelings, and yet society can't seem to do that. Now, can we? Now, with that being said, why don't we talk about some famous people that were born on July 4th? We have Eva Marie Saint, who was born in 1924. Post Malone was born in 1995. Speaking of which, did y'all know he's opening a bar in Nashville? I didn't, but speaking of bars, I went to Megan Maroney's pop-up bar. Love, 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 love. I'm going again before the summer's over with, though. Megan, I'm a huge fan, by the way. The whole album. I can't wait for the new album to come out. I'm so excited. Can we at least get a hit on the color, please, Megan? Because that's gonna set the tone. For everyone else. Any, anyway, Geraldo Rivera was born in 1943. Bill Withers, 1938. Neil Simon. Nell Simon, my bad. No, I was right, Neil. Was born in 1927. Andrew Zimmerman was born in 1961. Becky Newton was born in 1978. Gina Lago Brigolo, 1927. And I do apologize. I'm terrible with names, so if I butcher any of these names up, try not to crucify me. I know that's your right and everything, but can we try not? We all have our strengths and our weaknesses. Mine is obviously names. Um, Malia Obama, 1998. Ellie Saab, 1964. Michael Paul Sorrentino, 1982. Nathaniel Hawthorne, one of my personal favorite authors and poets, 1804. Calvin Coolidge, 1872. Stephen Foster, 1826. Al Madrigal, 1971. Alex Hibbert, 2004. George Steinbrenner, 1930. Um, Gloria Stewart, 1910. John Walt, 1952. Alfredo Diaz Stefano, 1926. Angelique Boyer, 1988. Gertrude Lawrence, 1898. I guess I used to in 19 part for crying out loud. And then Giuseppe Garibaldi, 1807. Do not ask me how I'm able to pronounce that correctly. I think it's just because of the history nut in me and all these documentaries I would watch with that name on it comes out. But yeah. What other countries? Let's let's do a little fun fact and Google how other countries see the US and the 4th of July. I'm curious. So that brings me to a story. A friend of mine, before I dive in this, a friend of mine, he used to work at this grocery store, and one day he said, "Happy Treason Day" to two customers. The first one was okay with it. He thought it was funny. It was a younger guy. But the second one was an older lady, and she got offended by it. And we had to explain to him, like, you can't say that. Even his boss explained to him that. But he's like, it's technically true, though. We were like, just say the holiday. Just say the holiday. Just say Happy 4th of July or Happy Independence Day. He's a good friend of mine, y'all. He means well. It's just sometimes he needs a sitter from time to time. With that being said, why don't we see how other countries view the 4th of July? Some view it with curiosity, or also a sense of attachment, while some nations like Denmark will host like large celebrations honoring American independence, and others see it as another day and a reminder of past conflicts. While many countries celebrate their own Independence Day with their unique traditions and customs. Um, so I also want to do a I really want to see how it became a commercialized holiday too. But there's some see a celebration of freedom, which is some countries, particularly those with strong historical ties to the U.S., or those that admire us for a symbol of freedom and democracy, may view as a positive sentiment. There's countries that share values like in ideals of liberty, self-determination, and democratic principles that may appreciate the symbolism for the 4th of July. And then there's cultural exchange. In some cases, the 4th of July is an opportunity for cultural exchange and celebrations as seen in the events, like the Rebel Festival in Denmark. Now, let's talk about Then there's some that have like some neutral or detached views, like with a different focus. Um, so for some countries, it doesn't hold any significance to it. Why would it? But for the U.S., this is important to us. Like we fought for our freedom. We wanted to be free from Great Britain. I saw on TikTok somebody said this was a no King's Day. Yeah, like the U.S. wanted a no King's country, and we did. But it was so fun. I can't remember the joke that goes with it though. Don't hate me. Um, For political context, in some regions, the fourth may be viewed as, in the context of a U.S. foreign policy, or global power dynamics, leading to a more neutral or even critical perspective. Now, what about some negative views, as past conflicts, historical tensions, and conflicts between the U.S. and other nations could influence how the fourth is received? It also criticizes some U.S. policies as well. Now, how did some countries do it? Well, in Denmark, the Rebuild Festival is one of the largest celebrations of American independence outside the U.S. It is annually held in Denmark. In Latin America, there are many countries that celebrate their own independence, also with the elaborate festivals that people parade fireworks and speeches. And in Europe, while many European countries may participate in small celebrations or events, the 4th of July is not as widespread public holiday. Which I think is cool though, learning about how like different countries and everything else. And I am a firm believer. You never stop learning. Because when you stop learning, it's when you become ignorant. And for some people, ignorance is bliss. But learning is essential to who we are as humans. Um, now, now let's talk about the U.S. becoming the 4th of July becoming commercialized. Um, that's part around. Like I know it makes no sense. I hate Valentine's Day because it's an overly commercialized holiday with dark history. But here's the things: the 4th, while having roots in earlier celebrations, it became a prominent intertwined with consumer culture throughout the 20th century. Um, like the tradition of celebrating the 4th dates back to the American Revolution, with early celebrations including activities like bonfires, bells, and fireworks. A federal, as I said earlier, it was a federal holiday in 1870 and became a paid federal holiday in 1941. Thanks, thanks to the press at the time. And okay, but anyway, then the 20th century marked a significant period where business began recognizing the potential in holidays and increased sales, leading to the extensive advertising and promotion around the events like the 4th of July. Um, in the modernization, well, the holiday celebration involved to praise fireworks, barbecues, concerts, and feel significant consumer um on by on spending on like excuse me food, beverages, travels, and festive merchandise. And the 4th of July is a significant driver to the economy and everything. And I know there's like a lot of people saying that, oh, I'm not gonna celebrate the 4th of July, yada yada, because of who's in our office, but yada yada yada. Look, here's the thing. You have the beautiful thing about being in this country is you have a right to believe whatever political viewpoints you want. But when you say that you do not want to celebrate because of who's in office, you've obviously somehow forgotten that basically what the US had to go through just to be free, just so you could have your freedom to believe that. There are some countries you don't even have that don't even have that luxury. So the US is home of the free because of the brave. And I think it's important that we need to sit down and we need to remember the 4th of July is important. Um, but let's put aesthetics aside. Let's put political viewpoints aside, you need and just get over your little shallow issues with that. And if some of y'all are gonna hate me for saying that, it might get me canceled, but I'm so glad cancel culture is over with. That was ridiculous. You could get canceled over little anything, and they need to bring some shows back. I'm for crying out loud. But there's some shows I do agree that would not be made today because of some of the issues that they talked about. Um, I and like I said, I grew up in the South, rural Alabama to be exact. So I grew up on shows like Dukes of Hazzard, All in the Family, and stuff like that. Um, so and here's the thing: was I opposed? Was I for or against the statues in Birmingham being taken down? I was against it because that was a part of our history. And how are we supposed to learn history when everyone wants to keep trying to erase history? History is doomed to repeat itself, so let's remember that. Um, but yeah, but honestly, my some of my favorite Fourth of July songs by Toby Keith's courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue. Lee Greenwood, um, Lee Greenwood's I'm drawing a blank now. But anyway, there's also Where the Stars and Stripes and the Eagle Fly. And there's so I love a good I'm a patriotic person. I'll be the first to admit it. I will defend this country till the day I die. I'm happy that I live in a country where I'm able to vote. I'm able to believe what I want to believe and practice what I want to practice. Because there's some places aren't that fortunate, and I think this often gets taken for granted. But no. But with that being said, happy 4th of July. I hope y'all have a great one, a safe one, and remember that we're free. This is the home of the free because of the brave. If it wasn't for the 13 colonies, we would still be a part of England today. So let's remember the history of why we're free. Let's remember that it's not all about the barbecue or the paid time off or just having a day off from work in general or the cute fashion clothes you can wear. But happy 4th of July, y'all. Um, from my home to your home, this land is my land. This land is your land.